Good day, third year students. Today we are going to end the poem, Matthew Arnold's poem, The Scholar Gypsy. Yesterday we did that he was comparing the scholar gypsy's life with the life of ordinary people. Now let us continue. Thou waitest for the spark from heaven, and we, light half believers of our casual creeds, who never deeply felt or never clearly willed, whose insight never has borne fruit in deeds, whose vague resolves never have been fulfilled, for whom each year we see breeds new beginnings, disappointments new, who hesitate and falter life away, and lose tomorrow and ground one today. Ah, do not we wanderer await it too? Now here the poet is yearning for a life like the scholar gypsy, and he presents a sharp contrast between the common man and the scholar gypsy. He says that you always waited for a spark from heaven. Spark from heaven means divine inspiration. But we, the common people, are half believers. We don't believe in ourselves, we don't believe in divine inspiration, and our creeds are casual. He says that we, the ordinary people, never felt deeply anything, and our wills were never clear. We are always doubtful. He says that our insight has never borne fruit in deeds. We think a lot, but in deeds we fail. And our resolutions are vague. Vague means they're not clear. We make resolutions, but we break them. Now, here I would like you to compare second year's essay on good resolutions with this thought in this stanza of the poem. Now, he says that for the ordinary common people, we have new beginnings, but we have new disappointments also. And we hesitate and waste our life. We lose our tomorrow, and we also lose our ground won today. Means whatever we win today, we lose tomorrow. Means there is a lack of consistency in our deeds. But he says, even then, we wait for divine inspiration like you. He calls the scholar gypsy a wanderer. Next stanza. Yes, we await it, but it still delays, and then we suffer. And amongst us, one who most has suffered takes dejectedly his seat upon the intellectual throne, and all his store of sad experience he lays bare of wretched days, tells us his miseries, birth, growth, and signs, and how the dying spark of hope was fed, and how the breast was soothed, and how the head, and all is his hourly varied anodynes. Now, here in this stanza, it is very difficult to identify to whom he is referring. Arnold himself said that this reference is to Goethe, and other critics have said that it may refer to Tennyson, Alfred Lord Tennyson, the poet, and still some other people say that these lines could refer Thomas Carlyle. So there is a doubt on these lines to whom these lines refer, but this is sure that these lines refer to thoughtful poets. He says, what do poets do? They suffer, but what do? They convey their sufferance. They store the sad experiences, and they express these experiences in the form of poetry. They lay bare their wretched days and tells us the misery of birth, growth, and signs. What do poets do? They express their sad experiences, their sorrows, and how the dying spark of hope was fed. Now, Matthew Arnold, in his other poems also, like Dover Beach, he has expressed his sorrow over the declining moral values, over the declining spiritualism. So, here also there is an undertone of that sorrowful feelings. Next stanza. This for our wisest, and we others pine, and wish the long unhappy dream would end, and waive all claim to bliss, and try to bear, whose close lipped patience for our only friend, sad patience, too near neighbor to despair. But none has hope like thine. Thou through the fields and through the woods dost stray, roaming the countryside, a truant boy, nursing thy project in unclouded joy, and every doubt long blown by time away. Now, again, in this stanza, he says that in the last stanza, we were talking about the wisest of people. Wisest people, the intellectuals, the poets. But what about the common people? The common people, they suffer. They can't express their feelings in the form of poetry, but they suffer and they wish that the long unhappy dream called life would end. They are so much in despair that they dream that they wish that this dream should end. And they waive. Waive means they put away all claims to bliss. And their close-lipped patience is sad patience, and that patience is not a positive quality, but it is neighbor to despair. Neighbor to despair means it is very near in feeling to despair. But he says none has hope like thine. Nobody is hopeful like you were hopeful. Your conditions in life were not very congenial, but still you had hope. You had the courage to leave the four walls of Oxford, to leave the formal education of Oxford University, and you had the guts to live among the gypsies and to learn their art. But common people lack that enthusiasm, that courage. And you used to roam about in the fields, through the woods, roaming the countryside, a truant boy. You were like a stray away boy who used to roam at his own will. And he used to nurse his project in unclouded joy. What was his project? To learn the secret art of the vagabonds, of the gypsies, and his joy was unclouded. Means his joy was not hidden by the clouds of sorrow or the clouds of languid or the clouds of inaction, laziness. Now he says, every doubt long blown by time away. All his doubts he had blown long ago. He was doubtless, he was sure in whatever he was doing. That is why he achieved success. Next stanza. O born in days when wits were fresh and clear, and life ran gaily as the sparkling Thames, before this strange disease of modern life, with its sick hurry, its divided aims, its heads overtaxed, its palsied hearts, was rife. Fly hence, our contact fear. Still fly, plunge deeper in the bowering wood, averse as Dido did with gesture stern. From her false friend's approach in Hade's turn, wave us away and keep thy solitude. Now, in this stanza, he is talking about the two worlds of the past and of the present, two worlds brought together. The present world of the 19th century in which he wrote was the world of industrial revolution in England, and it is projected as a divided world. Whereas the world of the 17th century in which the scholar gypsy lived is viewed as a world in harmony with nature. Though it cannot actually be treated as an accurate description of the 17th century life, but he presents before us a sharp contrast of the two worlds. So he says that you were born in days when wits were fresh and clear. when the thoughts of people were not marred by materialism or were not marred by the tension of world wars. He says that during that time, life ran gaily. Gaily means life ran very happily as the sparkling Thames. Here is a simile, beautiful simile. Life running is compared with the shining Thames, the river Thames, before this strange disease of modern life. Now, again, it is a comparison, metaphor. He says that modern life is a strange disease because everybody is hurrying, everybody is mentally sick, the aims are divided, and our heads are overtaxed. There is information overload in our heads. It's palsied hearts. Palsied means paralyzed hearts. Now he says that as Dido did. He says here is an allusion. Allusion means a reference to the poet Virgil's famous work Aeneid. Aeneid. So there is an account of Aeneas coming to Carthage and winning the love of Dido, the queen of Carthage. Later he deserted her on divine command. Dido then committed suicide. Aeneas then descended to Hades while still alive. Dido fled from him with averted eyes. So, as Dido averted Aeneas, in the same way, we are forced to avert the modern life. Or you do not like the modern way of living. Next stanza. Still nursing the unconquerable hope, still clutching the inviolable shade, with a free onward impulse brushing through by night silvered branches of the glade, far on the forest skirts, where none pursue, on some mild pastoral slope emerge, and resting in the moonlit pales, freshen thy flowers as in former years with dew, or listen with enchanted ears from the dark dingles to the nightingales. Now he invites the scholar gypsy to visit and to emerge in the 19th century, to emerge having the unconquerable hope, same as he used to live with. And he says, with a free and onward impulse, brushing through the night. Now, here is again a metaphor. Now, it is the night of dark eras. So, he invites the scholar gypsy to emerge from the past years and visit the 19th century. And he says that I want to see you on the forest skirts where none pursue, on some mild pastoral slope. So that is what he is doing in the previous stanzas. Actually, in the first four stanzas, he is trying to imagine the scholar gypsy in the fields. He is trying to imagine him on the brook having a ride. He is also imagining him on the homestead, on the hill, and on the pastures, everywhere. So he says, I want you to emerge and come once again with your fresh flowers like your former years, and fresh flowers which are laden with dew. He says, or I also want you to come and listen with enchanted ears the dingles. Dingles means valleys. The nightingales which are singing in the valleys. Next stanza. But fly our paths, our feverish contact fly. For strong the infection of our mental strife, which though it gives no bliss, yet spoils for rest. We should win thee from thy own fair life, like us distracted, like us unblessed. Soon thy cheer would die, thy hopes grow timorous, and unfix thy powers. Thy clear aims be cross and shifting made, and then thy glad perennial youth would fade and grow old at last, and die like ours. Now he says that I want to call you, but you should not adopt our ways. You should not adopt our paths. Fly our paths means you should avoid our paths, our mannerisms, our ways. And you should also avoid our feverish contact because it is a great infection. He is afraid that you may catch the infection of modern life. You may catch the infection of this mental strife of this age, which I do not want. He says that I don't want that you should be infected by the modern age, because modern age gives no bliss, but it can spoil what you have. Your life is fair as far, so I want that it should not be marred. So you should not get distracted like us, you should not be unblessed like us, because if you are infected with the modern age, then your cheer would die, and I don't want this to happen. And your hopes may get timorous, means lack of confidence, and your powers may get unfixed. So much infectious is our age. Your clear aims may become shifting or crossed, and your gladness may fade. So that is why I want you to visit the modern life, but I don't want that the infection of modern life should infect you. Next stanza. Then fly our greetings, fly our speech and smiles, as some grave Tyrian trader from the sea descried at sunrise an emerging prow, lifting the cool-haired creepers stealthily and fringes of a southward-facing brow among the Aegean isles, and saw the merry Grecian coaster come, freighted with amber grapes and chain wine, green bursting figs, and tunies steeped in brine, and knew the intruders of his ancient home. Now, in this stanza, he again refers to the Aeneid story. It is an elaborate simile which depicts the terror of the invader and the retreat before him. It refers to the Phoenicians as the pioneers of navigation. Arnold imagines that the Phoenicians contact with the Greeks and their retreat in the face of Greeks, admitting their superiority. So, the next stanza, the last stanza. The young light-hearted masters of the waves and snatched his rudder and shook out more sail, and day and night held on indignantly over the blue midland water with a gale betwixt the Syrtis and soft Sicily, to where the Atlantic raves outside the western straits unblessed sails. There, where down cloudy cliffs through sheets of foam, shy traffickers and dark Iberians come, and on the beach undid his corded bales. Now, if we include all the last three stanzas, they express self-disgust of the modern age and self-criticism. They are like the climax of the poem and the fifth part of the narration. The pace is also much faster than that of the earlier stanzas, and there is a tone of hurry. Now, Tyrian here means belonging to Tyre, a place in Greece, and he says that I don't want that you should get infected by the modern age, as the sailors used to loot, as the traffickers used to loot the ships in the sea, because your ship is laden with a lot of riches, and he does not want that these riches should get looted by the contact of modern era. So this is the end of the poem, and Matthew Arnold in this poem expresses two things. disgust of the modern life. Plus, he is also talking of the modern education. He says that modern education is not is lacking in that which the scholar gypsy had, because scholar gypsy left the four walls of the education, the formal education of the Oxford University, but still he learned a lot. He learned the secret mysteries of the vagabonds, so much so that he taught the world, and he is still alive metaphorically. So, in the next session, we will do another poem. Till then, thank you.